control, feel it in my bones. I'm coming for it, coming for it. I'm coming for the throne. I'm coming for the throne. So you wanna be my enemy? You should've known I'd never kiss the rain. Ice runs in my veins, won't play it safe. I don't belong with your nobility. Who died and made you king of anything? You think that I'm insane? It's your mistake. Kingdoms rise and fall. I've come to take it all. I'll take it. I've come to take it. Kingdoms rise and fall. I've come to take it all. I'll take it all. Storm's coming, so you better start running. No, you can't control, feel it in my bones. I'm coming for it, coming for it. I'm coming for the throne. I'm coming for the throne.
Let's go. Yo, I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it, fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same. Cause that's what it takes. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same. Cause that's what it takes.
All right, y'all. Happy, what is today? Tuesday, November 25th. Oh my gosh. It's almost Thanksgiving, y'all. Are y'all ready? You got all your food? You got your invites out? You got your plans of where you're going to go? We're going to do something a little different tonight. I popped a drink, the first one in a long time. It's a Guinness. It just felt like having a chill live stream tonight, mainly, whatever. I tagged it as an AMA, Ask Me Anything. Railtown, AMC, GameStop. There's been a bit of angst in some of these tickers over the last couple weeks, although AMC and GameStop had a good little turnaround today, thank goodness. And I'm looking here at even Railtown up almost 4%, but it's been bouncing. So, and the guy that live streams Railtown all day, every day, I noticed he didn't turn up today. And so we haven't talked about it in a month or so. Really not much to say just yet. Hasn't been since my last video. So, anyways, maybe you got some questions. Someone asked me if I'm still holding my Railtown in the comments. So maybe somebody cares what I think, but the other channels, they don't want me to say anything about Railtown because I might influence you. So I've just, I've done my best to stay in the corner and just watch them make predictions of $5, $20, $55, and we're at 33 cents. But no one wants, I'm supposed to stay quiet. Tonight I'll speak, but only if you ask. Whatever you ask. Fat Boy Slim says, Wednesday in the UK, you are in the future. You are a time traveler. Not your average Joe. Cheers to you. Guinness is good for you. How about that, Dan? Look at that nice foamy head on the Guinness there. I will never forget my first Guinness downtown Austin 6th Street at Maggie Mae's in about 1986. I don't even think I was 21 yet. When I moved here, you didn't need to be 21 to drink. And when I had a Guinness, I was like, holy hell, what is this stuff? When you're a high schooler, you grow up drinking what? Bud Light, Miller Light, the cheapest shit you could find. Keystone Light. And then I didn't touch Guinness for a long time, Dan, but then I started traveling for work over to Ireland, Scotland, UK. Where did I go in England? Manchester. And man, those Irish boys, they really like their Guinness. Let me tell you, Dan. That one night, I think it was probably a Thursday, and they didn't want me to come into work in their factory on Friday. Oh, Tony, let's go out. We're going to do the gallon of Guinness challenge. Yeah, I did not make it to work that next day. Jacob says, curious on your expectations for GME earnings, hoping for continued growth in the collectibles tab. That is an excellent question. I'm not one of those channels that makes predictions about GameStop earnings for a very specific reason. Number one, most people that do it on the reg get it incorrect. They're constantly bullish, which is fine. I mean, that's their prerogative. But that was not the right strategy over the last 5 years to be constantly bullish as the company's cutting revenues and, has money losing foreign locations. But now, we're kind of shifting. Hopefully a lot of that is behind us, and maybe going forward in another quarter or two, I'll feel more, I hate saying something if I think there's a high probability I'm going to be wrong. So what's the point of me forecasting GameStop earnings? I have a spreadsheet where I can input variables and output different earnings with high degree of precision, but how do we guess what those inputs are? The revenue, the margin, the SG&A. Given any of those inputs, I can create a spreadsheet that'll give us almost a dead-on expectation. But how do we guess? Ryan is still in the middle of a transformation. And now we have the switch to factoring into Q3. So, and we got the collectibles, we got power packs. There's just so much change. And yes, I would love to be bullish. I'm long the stock, so obviously I'm bullish. But what if my bullish assumptions are too bullish, and then everyone's gonna want someone to blame. Oh, he told us it was going to the moon, and they barely increased margins and profits. I mean, I don't know what it's going to be. I do think it will be better than Q3 last year. Probably. They've made a lot of improvements on margins and SG&A, and hopefully that continues. All I can say is I'm not trying to predict earnings. I'm trying to predict a general outcome, and therefore I want to be long the stock at the cheapest price I can. Hopefully that is sufficient to you to convey kind of where I'm at. There's no sure things yet with GameStop. I think they're doing the right things. I think they're potentially at a pivot point. I'm very hopeful that we'll see some increases year over year or over last quarter. But how to predict it with accuracy, really, really tough with the amount of change going on. So get in as cheap as I can. And I was increasing my buys as it was going down. Then cross fingers. Dink says, guessing is easy. Intelligent estimate is a whole different ballgame. Yeah, I mean, that is true, Dink. There's a lot of people that have made guesses on GameStop, and they've been right sometimes, to be fair. And they've been wrong many times. And I just don't know, considering, Ryan's not calling me up, telling me all the inside information. I guess I could go look at sales data from competitors and from, Nintendo and whoever. You could go do all that. And there are certain people I follow that do some of that. I really don't have the interest to go do all of that. I'm just looking at a macro level. Are they doing the right things to contain cost, improve margins? Is the price cheap relative to that? Do I think things are going to get better? Maybe Wall Street is being too bearish. Will I be right? I don't know. I size my risk according to the potential downside, and I try and have the best entry possible in case of upside. Hopefully that makes sense. I mean, I don't, you hear all these GameStop people say, I hate GameStop, I hate Ryan Cohen, just complete nonsense. They don't like that I'm very patient and wait for a cheap entry. They don't like that I'm not telling you every day at every price to buy. That's fine if they want to do that. I mean, that's their money to blow. I'll save my dry powder for when it's cheap. And this past week was a beautiful opportunity. Soul Seeker says, I see someone asking about new shares in AMC, another reverse split imminent. Would love to know. Wish I'd been on the last one. Wish you had been in on the last one. What do you mean? I confused you. At its basic level, a reverse split or a forward split changed no math, right? But and there's no reverse split proposed for AMC. But were there ever to be a reverse split in any company, Beyond Meat just had one, for example. They just had a vote. Maybe that's the one we'll talk about. It's not the reverse split that you need to fear. It is what is the reason they're doing the reverse split that you need to think about? And if you think there's a high probability that they're doing the reverse split because they need to raise cash at a higher price, and there's going to be some dilution coming up, then maybe you just wait out that dilution. But like Beyond Meat, when are they going to vote in a reverse split? I don't know. And if they vote in a reverse split, does that mean they're going to immediately dilute? I don't know. I haven't finished doing my Beyond Meat analysis for the next 12 months yet. But those are just kind of things that I look at. And much like when AMC did the 2023 reverse split, we had a play arbitrage on the AMC versus APE, but you guys who were here back then know that I said you're going to get wrecked if you hold all the way through that, because of the massive quantity of APE coming into AMC, increasing the float, and the reverse split, and then AMC needing to raise cash, which is why I exited the trade temporarily back in 2023. A lot of people, never were here on the channel listening to the warnings. They just got mad that I sold. They never bothered to come around and find out why. Oh, he wants to buy puts on the... Yeah, okay, I see where you're coming from, Soul Seeker. I mean, maybe sometimes puts can be a good idea on a ticker if you're anticipating downside, but you need to look at the implied volatility, and you need to look at how far do you think the price could get pushed down, because sometimes what happens, and you guys know this if you're options traders, a lot of times what the market expects is going to happen is already priced into the option in terms of IV, and you could be completely correct on the direction and the severity of the price decrease and still lose money on your put. That thing called IV crush. So in theory, your question is valid. Like if you think something bad is going to happen, but you want to be buying ahead of the point where everybody else is anticipating that that's going to happen, so that you're not overpaying for that option. There have been many times where I've some stock goes roaring up and I think, oh, I'm going to buy puts and just write it back down over the next 7 to 10 days. And then I look at the options. You can go on a tool like optionsstrat.com and model the options. And I look at it, I'm like, I can't make money on this trade, even if it does exactly what I think it's going to do. Or the chance of me being wrong by a few days could completely destroy my trading strategy. So many times I just don't do it. So yeah, there is no reverse split proposed. AMC after the vote, Soul Seeker, after the vote in December, they are pretty much precluded from doing anything for 6 months. I don't know that it says they can't do a reverse split, but I don't know why they would do a reverse split either, because they can't sell any shares for 180 days. There is 1 or 2 small exceptions to what I'm saying. They can sell 25 million shares. That's not much. Compared to what I think they might need in terms of cash, 25 million shares at $2 is nothing. And if the price were to have a strong pivot up, I think some of those restrictions on ATM offerings come off. But basically the way I'm looking at it for right now is they can't do an ATM for 6 months. So what's the point of a reverse split? Anya, how you doing? We popped a drink tonight, Anya, so go ahead and pour one for yourself. Not your average Jose, he says, Could you explain what the lenders will do with all the new shares they will get in this scenario? Same thing that I told the Discord in the December vote, right? Some of the exchangeable notes are owed shares, and they will get shares, assuming the yes vote passes. And just like I told the Discord in July, same thing. Like these are distressed debt lenders. They're not shareholders. So when they get shares, be it in a debt for equity exchange or an exchangeable note that they convert, they are not going to hold those shares. Why do I say that? For example, if you don't believe me, talk to a bond trader, first of all. Go find you your own and go talk to somebody not involved in this play. Distressed debt lenders are typically not trying to be shareholders. They want to get their money and they want to reinvest it in more bonds. So they're going to dump those shares. And that is why, like, these bondholders in the July debt deal negotiated for such favorable terms for themselves in the July deal and the December vote. In July, they got their shares at $1.79. You want to know why the AMC price has been going down since July? Because they've been, in my opinion, and you can fact check this by looking at Discovery Capital. What happened with them? All their shares are gone now as of the latest 13F. They're down to zero. They got them in July. They did the same thing in 2024. Like, I'm not making stuff up here. Pentwater Capital, I think when we get their next filing, you're probably going to see they went from 48 million shares down to zero for the exact same reason from the July tranche. So if you're asking me what's going to happen in December when they get more shares, probably sell them, which is why they negotiated with AMC a 6-month restriction from the company doing an ATM. They don't want AMC messing up the stock price while they're trying to sell their shares. You see how that works? You think AMC's giving you a 6-month lockout to make you feel happy. They don't care about us. The lenders negotiated that in there for themselves so they could get rid of their shares on their timeline at the price that they want at a profit without having to worry about AMC muck it up by selling shares. This is all my theory, but I think it's a theory well grounded in reasonable analysis and evidentiary history, plus talking to bond traders. I'm trying not to. How does a retail trader think? It's very different than how these lenders think. We got to get out of our mind and think like they're thinking. That's what I'm trying to teach you guys. Soul Seeker says, what is RLAIF? This is Railtown. It is a super speculative OTC non-revenue AI company. Let me repeat, because there are people that will tell you this is going to $55 in a couple months. I, on the other hand, have a much more reasonable approach. It's a speculative AI play on a company with no revenue. It's a 33-cent AI company. They just completed a merger with AI Partnerships up in Canada, and they signed a partnership with TELUS, which is a telecom and technology company that set up the whole, what do you call the factory where they have all the AI machines. TELUS, they have a partner. They acquired AIP and they signed a partnership with TELUS. So we're talking Canadian AI. Canadian government is heavily subsidizing Canadian AI companies. The people running Railtown and AIP have a good amount of experience in the capital markets and in technology and software. So I think the management teams are good. And now it's just a sit back and wait to see, now that the merger just got completed, what kind of revenue. AIP had revenue. Railtown did not. Railtown just had these beta customers. Now that AIP's coming in and they're going to try and buy up some of their best performing affiliates, what kind of revenue can this combined entity create? And can they get to the point in the next year or two, assuming AI industry does well, where they start attracting the attention of someone bigger, like a Constellation Software? Now, there are people covering this ticker that will tell you Microsoft or Constellation's going to buy Railtown in January. Like, no, you gotta have, I mean, maybe, but that's not my talking point. My talking point has always been, you got to get the best entry possible, have patience, read the filings, and don't create your own meanings. The biggest problem with people that have bought into Railtown is they've read the same press release as I had and completely created a fictional story about what's going to happen. Even the company tells you very plain and black and white what's going to happen. I mean, it's the same old, oh, they're hiding the revenue. There's revenue, we just can't see it. The same thing the GameStop people, oh, there's profits, you just can't see them. Remember that story for like 3 years? Same thing going on over here. You got to read the filings, read the press releases, read the financial statements, and then just apply common sense, not fictional fan writing. And get a good entry and be patient. Size your investment to the risk. Dan says his company's investing in Copilot. Yeah, I know what Copilot is, Dan. I don't know much about it other than it keeps on popping up on my screen. You want to try Copilot? Not your average Jose says, what do you think about the theory that AA and JP Morgan do this to over leverage companies over and over, rinse and repeat? I mean, it's a interesting question to contemplate. Let me tell you my thoughts after a brief sip here. Let's take Adam Aaron out of it and let's just think about private equity companies or just finance bros in general. There are these things called roll-up strategies. There are things as levering up distressed companies and trying to get, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Something of scale. When you get a company so big that you have bargaining power for pricing on stuff. Anyways, someone will type in what I'm trying to remember, the phrase. Anyways, private equity will often go in and buy these companies. They will create these huge conglomerates. Like, remember, what happened originally with AMC, if I'm not mistaken, was Wanda bought AMC. Apollo, I don't know that Apollo was originally involved when Wanda bought it. I mean, it doesn't really matter whether it was Wanda or Apollo or both. The agreed upon strategy, Wanda being the Chinese company that was trying to get exposure to the entertainment sector, they wanted to create this conglomerate in the US, and they went and bought up a bunch of chains. Economies of scale, that's what I was trying to think of, Dink. Critical mass, you at least got me thinking in the right direction. Economies of scale. What happens when you do a roll-up strategy? You buy out all the competition, you lever up the company. You have to hit on all 8 cylinders until the debt is paid off. And if any stumbles happen, this is where a lot of these companies get blown out, right? You start having, you get a COVID and the theaters can't make money. Well, your levered strategy is going to fail. If you're a retail company in shopping, Foot Locker, Kohl's, all of them, all of these companies that buy up retail brands, and then you have inflation and economic slowdown and people cut their spending. All of your plans that you laid out when you went and levered up the parent company are not going to work. So do they have a goal of bankrupting all these companies? I would say no, they don't have a goal of bankrupting the companies, but they are taking a very risky bet with leveraged money. Leverage because it is what provides them the most profit if they're right. Just like you buying options versus buying the stock. Leveraged strategies work if you're correct. But if you screw up, you're going to probably lose it all. And that does happen in private equity deals. I don't know what, 20, 30% of the time. There are people that will have you connect the dots and tell you that every single one of these companies is planned bankruptcy. Look, we live in America. This is a capitalistic society. There is nobody planning everything to be a bankruptcy. That is just cuckoo conspiracy stuff. But often bankruptcy happens 20, 30% of the time. And these private equity firms know that. They've got a portfolio of investments they're making, and they know that X percent of whatever they're working on is not going to work out. And they've already baked that in. They're going to make their profits over here on the other ones. They don't know which ones are going to work or not. That's kind of my high-level view. I know there are people determined to tell you that every private equity company has the sole intent to bankrupt everybody they buy. That is just stupid. Sorry for being blunt. I told my college son, he's finishing up his master's in finance and accounting. I told him about the connect the dot stuff, and he just started laughing. He's like, no. Even a college kid knows it doesn't work that way. And he's going into that arena. Moving to New York probably this summer. Someone said, who was it? Someone said, why the brewski? Oh, Anya, just because I felt like having a chill night, Anya. Just a chill night. 1 Guinness. Scarlett's at work on the overnight shift. I didn't, I've been doing some deeper dive stuff into Genius and beyond. And I got off on a little tangent on Archer today. And I didn't really have a video topic ready just yet. When I say I look into these topics sometimes for days, I'm not kidding. Because I don't even want to talk about it if I don't have something useful to say. First of all, and I also don't want to talk about it if I haven't done a decent amount of research to have an opinion that might be potentially useful. Like anybody can turn on the camera and talk, but are you saying anything meaningful? I don't want to waste my time. Andrew says, does he need a job? He's been doing internships in California and New York already. I think 3 of them, Andrew, over his college career. So I'm pretty sure he has a job already lined up with one of the majors up there in New York. Not Citadel, not Virtu. And Andrew says, we like cuckoo. I know. So did that make sense? Whoever asked the question about Adam Aron and JP Morgan, I mean, could they bankrupt the company? Sure, they could. It's highly levered, and box office is still, I mean, they had a plan. Look at 2018, 2019 box office. They would have been fine, but they got reamed in 2020 and had to take on even more debt, and they're just now getting out from under that. So it's like we had a time warp where the last 4 years, 5 years didn't happen. They got back to where they were in 2019, but now we're not quite at the same box office, and it's still going to be a tough row to hoe. Not that kind of hoe. We're not out of the woods yet. I'm not saying that to scare you out of the play. I'm just saying, like, we need about a $10.5 billion box office for break even. Solid Squeeze says, let's do price targets. What are we on? What ticker? Michael says, Tony, I meant DLO, that by a chart that upside to $15 that paid a special dividend of 51 cents back in May. Anya saw the side-by-side ads. Hopefully, I haven't seen one of those yet, Anya, because I have the YouTube premium. I got tired of seeing the ads. I don't know. I don't understand, Michael, your comment. RLAIF. Not your average Jose says it feels like the new generation doesn't even want to go to the movies. Sometimes I fall in that trap of thinking that. Like even my son, I don't think he goes to that many movies unless I'm inviting him. So, you could be right, but he's also, working and going to college full time. So how much free time does he have to go to movies? Anyways. Sometimes I feel like I'm falling in that trap of thinking like what you type there, Jose. However, we also know that the studios they're not putting out the amount of movies that they typically did, like in a 2018, 2019 year. So we got, it's hard for me to say what the problem is. Is it that people aren't going, or is it that Hollywood is just not putting out enough content? And meanwhile, regardless of what you believe, it is still my belief that AMC needs to be doing GameStop level cost cutting. I want to see throwing everything overboard that is not mission critical. We can't just go another 5 years surviving liquidity by dilution if the box office doesn't grow. Something is going to break. We better pray that the box office is much better in 2026. We can't keep doing this. I'm doing everything I can, guys. Like I said on last night's live stream, we've seen 6 movies at AMC in the last 10 days. Today we watched Zootopia 1. I know it came out in 2016, but I'm not the biggest cartoon movie person, so I skipped it. But I am going to see Zootopia 2 this weekend with the wife. And we rewatched all of the Now You See Me, Now You Don't. The 2, we rewatched those. Like, we really do our homework to get ready to go to movies. And I think she doesn't particularly care as much about the Now You See Me, but she said, you're taking me to Zootopia 2. Did you see that sloth? He's so cute. So you can put me down probably for 8 movies in 14 days by the time this weekend comes up. I mean, we're doing everything we can. I don't know about y'all. And I know there are people on X that get really mad at those of us that are going to movies. You shouldn't be going to movies. Only buy the stock. Well, I'm going to support the company my way. You do you. I don't tell you what to do. You want to buy the stock and not watch movies? You think that's going to work? Then knock yourself out. The company needs profits. I feel like, if I got an entertainment budget, I can decide how to blow that budget. I can spend it all on McDonald's. I can go out to the bar, buy my wife a couple shots, or I could go to a movie or, out to a couple nice dinners at a restaurant. I like movies. That's my choice. How I allocate my entertainment dollars. I know not all of y'all have an AMC near you, and that's fine. No judgment from me. But also don't judge me or anybody that's going to movies. Like, it's gotten to the point where I see AMC people on X fighting. There's tribes. They're pushing movies and merch. They're pushing buy stock. Like, you guys are all on the same team. What are y'all fighting about? You just have a different approach. It's okay. You're both pushing in the same direction. Like, I mean, this is really troubling to me that we got people fighting over you're a shill because you're pushing merch versus you're a shill because you're ignoring the financials and telling people to buy the stock. Let people do whatever they want. Jesus Christ, man. It's a really good Guinness, Dale, but not as good as a fresh pour out of a keg. This is one of those, we have the cans in America. I don't know what's inside of it. I should open it up. It says, when you pop the tab, the plastic device in the can will release the nitrogen into the beer. I don't know if that's horse hockey or not, Dan. But I know it's not the same. I know what a real Guinness tastes like. You try a Guinness in the United States and then you go to Ireland and walk up to a pub and order a Guinness. It's like a night and day difference. Dan says the best way to treat a date is to take them to a movie and then not talk to them for 2 hours. Dan, I mean, that is a good plan. Don't forget the modified popcorn bucket, though. That's when you'll find out if she's a keeper or not. Speaking of popcorn, oh my gosh. Did you guys hear about AMC's new popcorn pass? $29.99, available December 1st. $29.99 one-time fee will give you half off of popcorn for the next 13 months. I mean, if you go to the movies and if you're not on keto, it's a pretty damn good deal. Because we often get a popcorn. They're like $15 or something crazy. And yeah, I get a large for the price of a medium, but I mean, it's a lot. And most of the time we don't even finish it. I just order the large because why not? What if I'm hungry? But 50% off for $30. I'm thinking a couple things about this strategy. I don't know if you guys heard about it or not, but it kind of ticks a couple of boxes. Like, I think the company's trying to bring in extra cash in December because they know what Q1 is going to look like, and maybe even December through January, February, March, if they heavily promote it. That's extra cash. If you could sell, I don't know, if you could sell 500,000 of those, that's $1 million of them would be $30 million. So 500,000 would be $15 million extra dollars. It's just like found money, but you're giving up a little bit of profits on the back end. But it's kind of like a gym membership. I mean, how many people are going to use that? I know I would. Like, I'm going to get savings if I buy that because I know how many movies I go to on a monthly basis. But they're bringing in cash. They're making it like, even if they don't make as much profit, they're making, hey, we get discounted tickets and discounted popcorn half off, AMC is the more cost-effective choice. They're just creating repeat customers. And then you drag along other family members, friends that also are buying concessions in it. Maybe it's a good marketing thing to try out. Try whatever they got to try. Michael says, I bought DLO at $12.91, then it fell to $12.22. So that's the ticker, DLO? Yeah, I guess so. What do they do? D-local. Uruguay. Focused on enabling global merchants to connect with emerging market users, the company offers payment platform for emerging markets. Market cap, what? Are you serious? 3.8 billion? I was a little bit cynical when I read the summary. I was thinking, what is this, a $80 million company? 3.8 billion. Is that right? Is that right? DLO. Sure is. When I see a chart like this, it reminds me of when I tried to own Ford. Didn't do anything forever. Let's see what the analysts have to say here. Price target of $15, 16% upside over the next year. Range of 9 to 19. Two of those price targets, 15 and 19, come from October. Serves its products to commerce, streaming, ride-hailing, financial services, remittances, advertising, SaaS, travel, e-learning, on-demand. It seems like they're well positioned, right? I don't know anything about it, but it must be big in South America, huh? Wait, Uruguay, is that South America or Central? I should know that. My geography professor from 7th grade would be mortified. It's one of the countries I have not been to. I like the revenue growth. That's the annual revenue chart. Net income is a decent chart. Not having to deal with any dilution. Margins they're falling, but they're not horrible. Just a quick glance at the balance sheet. It looks all right. I don't see any red flags jumping out at me on this company, Michael. So then you got to ask yourself, what is the story to grow the business so you can grow earnings so you can grow the market cap. PE ratio looks very reasonable. I mean, this is a solid play. There's nothing wrong with this company. The question is, if as you're evaluating it, this is almost like the play. There's probably not enough volatility in it, but this is like the kind of stock where you just want to have some shares and then sell covered calls on it, because it's probably not going to do very much. But maybe one day it does. So that was going to kind of be my takeaway from this. Like, what is their plan to grow the business? If they truly are positioning themselves for emerging market growth, it might be a good play. I mean, doesn't look like there's anything wrong with the company. The risk seems minimal. So then, compared to alternatives of where you could invest your money, do you think this one has a chance to be an outsized grower? Anya says South America. Thank you, Anya. In South America, I have been to only Brazil. I'm trying to think in Central America where I've been. Panama, Mexico. I think that's it. No Railtown people here tonight. I was thinking for sure that since the Railtown YouTubers weren't working today, that somebody would come in. I mean, they've been... I caught a couple minutes of the past week or so as Railtown's been tumbling down here. They've been blaming the lawyers, blaming the management, blaming women, blaming the shorts. I mean, it has 61,000 in volume. I don't think you got to worry about shorts. You got a thinly traded stock here. I was hoping at least one person would come in here and say, Tony, what do you think about X, Y, or Z? Do you think that theory is true? Why haven't we heard the final press release on the merger? When's the last time you spoke to management, Tony? When are we going to see some revenue? Is the price going to move before we see? No questions, not one question. I guess, I don't know. Maybe the Railtown people just like being fed information. Maybe I should just start making some stuff up. I want you guys to think. I want you to have some questions. Anya says she's a Railtown groupie. I kind of like this 30-cent range that we were down at, Anya. You've been a long-time follower, Anya. You know that we've been waiting for it to come back down cheaper. It could easily slip down into these mid-20s. I sure hope not. But we broke through this demand zone, and the next one's all the way down here in the mid-20s. So that's why we watch this stuff and why we don't get carried away with making up theories about who's going to buy the company on what day. Dink says, how long before the reverse split and bankruptcy? They don't need to RS, Dink, because they're OTC. They're on the Canadian market under RAIL. They're on the OTC under RLAIF. They don't need to worry about a reverse split in terms of maintaining any exchange listing. However, I do think that they want to sell some shares to execute a roll-up strategy. Remember what we were talking about on AMC? Imagine Railtown has 100 and I forget the number. Let's call it 150 affiliates now under them through AIP, and they want to purchase the top 3 so they can get that revenue on their books, not just affiliate income, but real revenue. Do you do that at 30 cents a share, 50 cents a share, or do you try and reverse split it and get your price to $3 or $5? I don't know. I'm not worried about a reverse split with Railtown. It could happen. I mean, anything could happen, right? But it's not something that I'm super worried about. I want to get 1 quarter behind us where they show a revenue number. We kind of know what they valued the company at through the merger. Canaccord Genuity was brought in to help value the 2 companies. We had Railtown and AIP. They're both jockeying, negotiating. We think you're worth this. We think we're worth this. How many shares to buy you? Canaccord Genuity kind of provided the independent voice of research to help each company properly value itself. And so the merger went through and we didn't see any price spike. So we're just treading water now until some revenue is booked and we see, okay, is it a 1 million a year, 2 million a year? Is it going to be 5 or 10? I don't know. Nobody knows. So you better be patient. And I hope you got a good entry. Because as I have said from day one, I've never one time given anybody, I hear the Railtown channels, Tony telling you since day one to sell. No. Never one time told anybody to sell or buy. I simply said this is a high risk play and you should manage your risk accordingly. I don't know why these people twist that into he's telling you to sell. I literally own the stock. But you got to size your risk. You got to have realistic expectations. You got to be able to weather the storm if what you were thinking is going to happen didn't happen. Or you got to be, no, I'm not going to say the take and exit part because I'm not going to tell you to sell. They don't want me to talk about that. They being the other YouTubers. You make up your own minds, but the way to really weather the storm on these plays that require a lot of patience is make sure you have a good entry. There were people making videos every day saying you're never going to get it below 60 cents again. Can you imagine making a video every day? You're never going to get it below 60. You're never going to get it below 55. You're never going to see below 45 again. Now, I mean, and Tony DeNaro is a shill and he works for the shorts. And meanwhile, I'm just sitting back here playing cards, chilling like a mofo, buying now at 30 cents. Now, these guys blew their wad at 50, 60 cents because some goofball on YouTube told them they'd never see this price again. I don't know how many times we got to be right for people to wake the fuck up. They have unlimited shares, Dink, that they can issue. So you're saying the RS gives them more dilution room. They have unlimited shares in their charter, believe it or not. Michael says, Tony, check out ABEO earnings. That tells you more. And talk about the approved drug and you can understand. Oh, man, it's a pharma play, Michael. Those scare me to death. ABEO. I mostly don't. I know my limits, Michael. And I have no problem with any of y'all that are smart and follow therapeutics, pharma companies. The only ones I'll buy, maybe if it was a momentum trade and I happen to wake up and catch it in the morning, or if it's a company with known products and known revenue and earnings. Otherwise, I don't really speculate in these ABEO just because I don't have time to go understand the companies. And most of them are just a gamble on a future approval. And I don't like that kind of unmitigated risk. It's not unmitigated if you well understand the company and the products and how the whole process works of bringing drugs or whatever medicine to the market, gene therapies. If you understand all that, you're smarter than me in this particular area, and that is fine. Do your thing. But I don't mess with these companies. No revenue, 3 million, 1 million, just not for me. 82 million. They did have 82 million positive net income. Where did that come from? Gain on sale of assets. All right, well, that's nothing special. Mostly negative revenue because they have no income. Negative net income, sorry, because of no revenue. And that's fine. That's fine. I mean, companies that don't have products yet, they're going to lose money till they do have a product. And then you hope you become a billionaire. That's fine. There's too many of them out there for me to focus on. I try and stay in my lane. If you know who knows that shit, I know y'all don't like him, but Martin Shkreli knows this segment. Dink says unlimited shares. That's a definite pass. I mean, Dink, there's a reason why I call Railtown very speculative. The reason I don't think that they're headed to bankruptcy, Dink, they're not really diluting that much. Most of their dilution, I mean, Railtown's been very diligent about only doing minimal cash raises, even though they've been negative net income. They're not blowing 10, 20, 30 million dollars per quarter. I wonder if they're on here. $7 million in the last fiscal year, $6.5 million in the last trailing 12 months. I mean, that's not too bad for a tech company. But it's you got to get some revenue on there, which is why they merged with AIP. So we'll see what happens. Like, just because I have the ticker on the thumbnail, don't think that I'm encouraging you guys to go out and buy it. Watch my videos, do your own research. It's a cheap AI play. Might work out, might not. And for those of you who are not, you guys still haven't asked the question, what has the company told you lately? Nothing. They sent me a packet of information to help me try and figure out how they're going to monetize this partnership, which I felt was a little bit light on details. Now, I've seen other people try and read it and create all sorts of theories, just pull numbers out of their ass. I got that packet and I'm like, all I got now is more questions. So I'm trying to talk to the higher ups in management, and everybody's just ghosting me right now. Maybe they can't talk right now. Maybe there's some more things happening. That's fine. But I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I'm sticking to the plan of we wait for an earnings report and see if there's revenue on it. About all you can do. I have no price targets for you. It could easily stay in this range for a year as far as I'm concerned. Dink says they have to buy their talent to drive sales. They're going to have to do that with shares. Yes, more than likely, Dink. This was what I pointed out on like one of my very first videos back in July on Railtown. I said, here we got a company that released a letter in February about wanting to do a merger with AIP. And in that press release, buried at the bottom, I say that because that triggers some people. in that press release, it did say that the point of AIP wanting to partner with Railtown was to have access to public markets to execute their roll-up strategy. Dink, you know, and you know that I know exactly what that means. And I know you know. That means they're going to issue shares to buy affiliates, because we're talking about a company that has no cash and no revenue. So until you show me some revenue, maybe I'll change my mind, but we should expect that they're going to, now that they're combined, that they're going to at some point, not tomorrow probably, but at some point they're going to issue even more shares to roll up some of the top performing affiliates. And maybe that's okay if these affiliates are bringing in revenue, but like we literally are flying blind right now. Management's not saying anything, and we have no financials that have been filed with any revenue ever. So, I mean, it's fine to speculate. I'm speculating. I'm gambling here. But the people making videos 5, 6, 8 hours a day, telling people every day, sell everything, buy this stock. It's definitely headed to $55 in the next couple months. Like, where are you getting this information? I know the answer. They're making it up. But good Lord, man, there's literally people that have following these channels that have plowed $100,000 into this stock. A no revenue penny stock. I hope it works out. I'm long the stock, but I am not investing my entire portfolio in one penny stock. It's one play of many. If I lose, no biggie. Oh well, live and learn. I learned about amalgamations. I learned about Canadian companies. I learned a little bit more about how these sort of deals are structured. And, you know, it's not going to be any sweat off of my back. I saw somebody had a profile post on Twitter that I thought was very intelligent. It said something like, size your risk according to the potential downside. That doesn't mean, I'm adding in my little, I liked that first sentence. Size your risk, size your position according to the downside, according to the downside risk. That doesn't mean that the downside risk is going to happen, but what if it does? Size your position according to the downside risk. Seems like a reasonable strategy. And I'm going to follow that up with my other one, diversify, because you're not going to get every play right. Michael, I just got one question for you. The one question that I try and search for on every pharma or therapeutics company that I look at. In what year will they begin mass? And what year will they generate revenue off of their therapy, their product, their drug, their medicine? Like when we look at quantum, QNTM, and I've spent days looking through their financials. Everybody think it's an amazing play. Like they're not even going to have their, multiple sclerosis treatment through the testing phases till like 2028. And they have almost no cash. And they have a heavy cash burn. And people think they're going to, buy and hold quantum for 3 years? Where do you think they're going to get their funding from? Continual dilution. Now, as long as you know that and you say, I'm signing up to be a dilution machine and to provide capital, and I don't care if the price goes down, I don't care if there's reverse splits, then that's perfectly fine. But I got to know when I'm looking at any therapeutics or pharma company, what year are they going to start revenue? Because we are just liquidity to them until then. And I'd rather find the timing at the very end. A lot of times I'm going to be too late with that strategy. I'll miss some key announcement where it shoots up. That's where being smarter than me comes into play. If you really understand these pharma companies and you know the right time to buy, then by all means do it. I'm not smart enough. Haven't spent enough time looking into that segment of the market. I don't know if smart is the right word. I have not applied my brain to trying to become an expert in that arena. I'm still working on becoming a mining expert, Michael. It's been 84 years now. Maybe once we really get this mining thing behind us, we'll move on to pharma. We'll become Pharma Bro channel. There are some fun plays. There are some good moonshot if you're lucky enough to pick the right ones. All right, we have come to that point, ladies and gentlemen, where the Guinness is on the last sip. I thought for sure there'd be some more hard-hitting questions. Y'all had some good ones on the AMC and the lenders. And is Adam Aaron trying to bankrupt the company? No. Could it go bankrupt? Yes. Is he trying to? No. I think they're trying to do everything but bankrupt it. But you got to have box office. Railtown, just stay tuned. Be patient. GameStop, looking pretty good. I'm hopeful that Q3 beats everybody's expectations. I'm long the stock. I added here on this most recent dip. Really feeling good with my GameStop cost basis. Feeling good with my Railtown cost basis. AMC I don't own because I'm waiting out a couple of tough mid-December while the company has no shares available really to issue. You could see the price go up a little bit. If Pentwater is done selling. We know that, what was that one? Discovery got rid of their shares. I think Pentwater's been selling. And hopefully they're done. And now we can get back to the real price action. Hopefully. If I'm right, this last 6 weeks was Pentwater dumping 48 million shares. Let's see. Let's see what the volume was. 35 million, 32 million. Yeah, they could have easily dumped 48 million shares over this time frame. And if they're done, then now you're back to regular buying and sell pressure. Do I think this was shorts and people that hate you? No. I think it was big institutions that were gifted shares at $1.75, taking their profits ahead of the vote, just like we've been talking about since July. And now maybe you get a little bump up as things get back to normal up until the vote. And then what happens after that? I don't know. I don't know how the market's going to react to the vote because I don't know how the vote's going to turn out. And I also don't know for sure how Q4 and Q1 are going to look. Well, you know, we're trying really hard to come up with our numbers for Q4 and Q1. Go see some goddamn movies. I think, well, L1 dude, you can DM me if you. I don't want to end on a sour note. So if you have any questions, you can DM me. I can share some more thoughts with you. I'm just gonna. Anyways, thank you guys very much. Let's go out on a positive, up and to the right. Hopefully AMC and GameStop do that for the next. What do we have? GameStop earnings and AMC vote both in early December, right? Is that right? GameStop earnings are coming up. GME. ABC. Yeah, they should be around the same time. Look, isn't it funny how Adam Arno scheduled the AMC vote just in time to tank GameStop's earnings? That's what they're going to say. It's funny because it's true. That's what they're going to say. Anyhow, yeah. For the next couple weeks, maybe we get some upward price momentum. Hope that crypto keeps going up. Man, it was getting rough there in crypto land for a while. We need to pump these numbers up. 80,000, that's rookie numbers. We need back over 100. Anyhow, up and to the right. We will see you guys on the next one. Love you. Be good.
Up and to the right. Up and to the right. Up and to the right.
Hello, millionaires. Short squeeze plays, my fortunes flip. GameStop's journey, an epic trip. From humble roots to the moon we fly. A company's dream will amplify. Ready warriors, keyboards in hand. With their eyes on the prize, they took a stand. No one's selling, we're here to fight. How does it go? Up and to the right. Up and to the right, we're in for the ride. It's us on the rise, it can't be denied. Up and to the right, through the day and night. Together we'll soar, molasses in sight. Up and to the right, we're in for the ride. It's us on the rise, it can't be denied. Up and to the right, through the day and night. Together we'll soar, molasses in sight. Hedge funds trembling, pennies in shock. GameStop stock, you'll never stop. From diamond heads to rocket ships, we're not selling, we buy every dip. Up and to the right, we're in for the ride. Up and to the right, it can't be denied. Up and to the right, through the day and night. Up and to the right, molasses in sight. Billions in cash on the balance sheet. We will win even if they cheat. Dilute us more, we don't care. Book value grows with every share. The terrorists say it can't be done, but the retail army we've already won. With every share we'll never stop. Investors say we love the stock. Up and to the right, we're in for the ride. It's us on the rise, it can't be denied. Up and to the right, through the day and night. Together we'll soar. Up and to the right. Up and to the right. We're in for the ride. Together we'll soar. Up and to the right.
Surprise!
We're gonna win.